Afternoon YouTube, it is I, Danielle, better known as Danielle Happy Medium, and in this particular video or topic up for discussion today, we're going to talk about shadows, what are the shadows, and how I can better understand and explain them to you so that there's nothing to be frightened of, the shadows. Off the back of many questions I've had over the last, I would say 18 months, I've been meaning to do this video for a little while, and it just sort of popped into my mind today, so I thought, I've got to do this because somebody needs it somewhere. I'm going to talk a little bit about shadows and helping you to understand a little bit more about what shadows are, why these shadows may appear, and what we need to do with connections to them. So we need to understand the mind, because the mind is the most important thing. Remember, you are a mental medium, so mental mediums use the mind. And when we're using the mental mind, we have two sides of the mind. We have the conscious side and the subconscious. Subconscious is holding memories. It's holding the backlog of files or data that we have not been able to hold in the conscious mind. Also the side in which that the spirit world uses from time to time in order to bring forward evidence from the spirit world. They do use the conscious mind as well, but they use a lot of the subconscious through life experiences, knowledge we've gained here on the earth plane, these types of things. So what tends to happen is the conscious mind can only hold so much data, and what can happen is as humans down here, we become very busy. We get overactive minds, we think a great deal, we have an awful lot going on, whether it be family, whether it be work, whatever it may be there. So what tends to happen is when we get into a place where we're not very good, or we have got problems here on the earth plane, or we need answers, what tends to happen is the mind will start to lift up and we'll go into another altered state of a thought pattern, which unfortunately makes us overthink everything and anything. What then tends to happen is adrenaline starts to kick in the body, because the body's automatically thinking that there's something wrong, so it's starting to get ready for fight or flight mode, which then starts to lift up our anxiety, which then lifts up the fear. And what will then happen is all panic will start, panic stations, beep, 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 buttons will start going off everywhere, and we will be on a constant alert of highness, because the fact that we have thought ourselves into a situation that isn't really happening, or we've made the mind think or the body think there's something to be fearful of. Then what tends to happen is because we are in a good place, our mind will go straight away to places or people that we either miss in the spirit world, where we could maybe get good advice from, where they maybe used to give us good advice down here, or even people on the earth plane who we grow accustomed to, or attachments to, or codependency issues with, and then we may message that person, or we may get in touch with that person, or whatever it may be. Or our mind will go to the spirit world, and what will happen is we will start and ask for our loved ones for signs. We'll start and ask our loved ones for images. We'll ask them for their help, basically. And if we use the thought-based pattern of how the spirit world works, it's classed as thought-based. So as soon as we start thinking, start asking, they always deliver. The spirit world's always delivering. And I talk to people all of the time about this. The spirit world's constantly delivering, constantly evolving, constantly giving you everything that you ask for, just not in the way in which that you ask for it. And this is the bit that people need to understand when we're working with energy, because remember, the spirit world doesn't have the physical body now. It only has energy. So then what happens is because we're in a heightened state of emotion, we're in a heightened state of altered state of thought pattern, what tends to happen is we start to see what we think are dark objects in the corner of the room, or things will start to catch our eye, or we'll start to think that there is something to be wary of, or there's something to be fearful of. And what tends to happen is, in many inboxes that I get, and a lot of questions I get over YouTube and through the email account, is, Danielle, I think there's somebody in my house. Danielle, I've seen this black shadow. Danielle, I don't know what this person is, but I'm seeing these people out the corner of my eyes. I have to check in and see where your mind is, and see whether or not there's a problem I need to address first and foremost as a medium, but also as a human being. Because remember, just because I'm a medium doesn't mean to say that I haven't got compassion for my fellow man. And I understand the trials and tribulations that life brings to us. And unfortunately, I understand how things can get in the way. So my first job is always to check in with the person and see where the person is. That includes my mediums as well, because 9 times out of 10, most mediums I find have got an issue, and I will discuss that further in this video. So anyway, as we go to that connection, we look to see where these people are, and then I can get a better understanding of what's going on. 9 times out of 10, when they start talking to me about these things and they start telling me they've got issues and problems, it then starts to lead me to a place where I understand, right, I have a person here with me who's full of anxiety, full of fear, and has got a major loads of things going on down here on the earth plane. So I have to find this person some kind of peace, some sign of closeness, settledness, if that makes sense, within their mind. Then what tends to happen is I can then address the other thing, which is the dark spirits or the shadows, or I'm seeing this out the corner of my eye, whatever. And once I've found out that I've calmed the person down, 9 times out of 10, them things aren't there. What tends to happen is the spirit world, gets blamed for an awful lot that they're not doing, because us as the humans are altered stated, high anxiety, overthinking situations. Now, what can happen and what does happen if I have a person who isn't in any of these particular places, then they're seeing dark shadows, white shadows, people, whatever it may be. I have to then look at external clairvoyance, which I have done a video on external and internal clairvoyance, which I'll put at the end of this video for you to take a look at. I have to then assess whether or not we then have a connection to the spirit world. And what I need to assess here is a medium, is one, is this medium saying these things all of the time, or is it just when they've clicked in? So I start to ask what I call my medium questions, which I have a list of them and a file I keep at the back of over there somewhere. But they're in my mind as well. And I ask these questions so I get an understanding of where that person is and what may or may not have been going on, in order to assess whether there's a link for the spirit world, whether it's just a psychic ability, or whether there's a bit more going on altogether. So what tends to happen is, for them who come to me and start telling me that they're seeing these dark shadows, they're seeing these white shadows, they're seeing faces when they go to bed, these types of things. What we have to remember here is if they've passed me checklist, then I have to think to myself, right, I've got somebody here who may have a link for the spirit world. And what tends to happen is there's lots of mediums, and I've done a video about why lots of different mediums. I'll put that at the end as well. We have lots of different mediums who all work different ways, who all see the spirit world differently, whether it be these just see energy as dark shadows or white shadows or as people. Now this is where people get really confused, because what I say to you is in the earlier bit of this, sorry for the noise behind, it's really warm up here and where I live today, it's scorching, and I've got the windows open, so my apologies on that there. You will probably be quite confused there by what I'm saying, because I've just said earlier in the video, they don't have physical bodies. But for every medium, they all work differently. So they all see energy in different ways. Now the mind, because we're talking about fear, when the mind doesn't like something, it automatically will shut it down or shut it out, depending on where your fear level is. If it's only a tiny bit, the spirit world will still be able to get in, or your mind will allow them to still come in. If you're in a heightened like place of fear, the spirit world, your mind will shut it down, or your mind will then change the imagery or change the shadows, because your conscious mind is interfering, because it's going too fast. And then it'll observe and change the images of the energy or the people. And what tends to happen is that these may turn into bad people. We might start seeing red eyes, because demons, demonics, all because the conscious mind's going too fast. The spirit world's blending energy, and this is clashing with this. And what's happening is this is overriding. And what's happening is it's not being able to come out the way it should do. So then what happens is unfortunately I get lots of people to me going, I'm seeing this, I'm seeing that, Danielle. Why? And all that's happening is you're seeing the spirit world the way that you're supposed to see them. So whether it's in energy form, whether it be in people. Now remember, physical body's still here, didn't go to the spirit world. But your mind's allowing your sight enough, or your mind is interpreting the energy enough in order so that you can see them as people. Other people's minds will interpret it so that they just see the energy. No one is any wrong, and no one is any better. It's just the way your mind is. It doesn't make you any less or any different. It doesn't matter whether you see them in black, whether you see them in white, whether you see them in the unicorn colours. It didn't make any difference. It's just the way your mind perceives it. There isn't anything wrong here. There's no need to panic. There's no need to get yourselves all head up, because it's just the way that your mind's working with you. A lot of mediums come to me and go, well, I can't say the spirit world as people, Danielle. That's okay. That's all right. There's nothing wrong with that. But Daniela, everybody else is seeing them as people. Why am I not seeing them as people? Because you're not meant to. That's why. It's as simple as that. You're not meant to. Take how the spirit world works with you and work with that to the way it's meant to be. If you see them as people and you want to see them as energy, again, that's the way your mind's interpreting it. That's the way your mind's allowing it to happen. You can't change that. You can't alter that. That's how the spirit will work with you. That's what makes you unique. That's what makes your mediumship yours. So when you see dark shadows, white shadows, remember, one, check in with you. See where you are as the medium. Make sure that you're not, or even just as a human, make sure you're not over worrying. Making sure that you haven't got too much on your mind. Make sure you're not allowing fear to kick in. If they're all in good places, then we need to look at whether or not there's a link for the spirit world. But you're seeing it one way, where other people might see it another way. There's nothing wrong with that. You're not doing anything wrong. You're doing it right. It's just you are expecting to see the spirit world the way that you think you should see them. Yet the spirit world have other ideas. And that is as simple as that. What is dark shadows? What is light shadows? Explained quite easily and quite simply by me, Danielle, Happy Medium. I would like to say thanks very much to everybody who's been donating. We have started to buy new stuff for the YouTube channel, which is some lights. The other one's on its way and the mic's on its way. So hopefully I should have them all by next week, so you'll get to see them all in action. I want to say thank you ever so much for all the new subscribers. Please do share this video. Our view time and content link is raising rapidly. In the last month, we've taken thousands and thousands of viewers. So thank you very much for those who are subscribing and telling people about my channel. I'm eternally grateful to you. If you want to donate to the channel, the link will be in the description box below. I'll put the 2 videos at the end for you to take a look at. Any questions or any videos that you'd like me to do, please do get in touch. I'm more than happy to answer your questions. If I cannot guarantee or promise you everything, because ultimately I don't know everything, but I'll always do my very best here for you on the channel. But it's been a pleasure as always. I hope you are all enjoying the lovely weather wherever you are, and I'll see you all very, very soon.